life, sometimes we are trying to be generous because we're expecting things to be given back to us. Maybe some of us struggle with this tension that we really expect that by doing good, that by being good, by sharing, being generous, giving financially, whatever, that maybe that'll be kind of like some kind of karma, maybe even if it's Christian karma. Like, I sowed this, I should reap this, right? It's going to come back to me. A lot of people live like that. But there's this amazing old Jewish story where there's this woman, and she's just known as the Shunamite woman. And you can find her story in 2 Kings chapter 4. She just gave to a man named Elisha because she just believed in him. She just had no expectations. It says in the story, in fact, that even when she prepared a whole room for him, like she made a spot in her house so that when Elisha was traveling, doing his ministry work, that he'd always have a place to stay. She even bought a special lamp for him and all these things. Like, she's just so nice, and she did that all because she just believed in the work that Elisha was doing. She had no expectations. And Elisha saw this generosity in her. And one day he even asked her, you can read this in 2 Kings 4, he says, what can we do for you? Like, what can we give you any more, authority, power, help you connect with someone? And she says, nope. I mean, I've never had a son, but my husband's like way old. I mean, like way beyond being able to have children with me. So it's all good, but I've never had a son. She kind of drops that line. And sure enough, Elijah prays a blessing over her and she gets pregnant and she starts raising a kid. And then later that kid gets really sick. And there's this amazing story that unfolds where this woman who had no expectations of God or of Elisha, she was generous to him anyway. She was giving and hospitable, and she was this caring giver. But she finds a way through her giving to see that God actually blesses her. And then somewhere in that journey, it's as if God takes away that blessing again. She actually goes to Elisha later. She goes, look, I didn't ask you for a son. You blessed me, and I got pregnant miraculously and had a son, and now my son is dead. My son got ill and died, and I just feel like you gave me false hope. All I know is that this story reminds me of a truth, and it's so amazing that the ancient Jewish scriptures put this story in for a lot of us. It's that this is a woman that we would call today, by our standards, someone who was good, someone who was caring, someone who was willing to share and be generous. And you know what? Something horrible still happened to her. You ever wonder, why do bad things happen to good people? This story sits in our scriptures to remind us that just because you're caring and giving and awesome doesn't mean horrible things can't happen to you. The grief hit her hard. And maybe that's some of us today. Maybe you feel like God is just a false hope. Maybe he's a crutch for weak people. Maybe you feel like God has blessed you, but then only later took away your blessing. This story ends with a miracle, with God raising her son from the dead through Elisha, and that's awesome. But this story isn't really about a miracle. The story is also about how God never overlooks the times in our life when we do something out of deep compassion. God does not overlook it. God sees every generous act of compassion that you and I sow into our world. God will not let our kindness or our generosity ever be forgotten. He'll never let it happen. And that's why you and I, no matter what we're going through, no matter how much pain or suffering we are enduring, we should not give up on compassion. We should not give up on caring. We should not give up on doing something good and not expecting it back, because in the end, God will always see it, and God will never let generosity be forgotten.